Hi, I'm Quinn and I'm autistic. Welcome to Autistic. Autism spectrum disorder. Autism spectrum condition. Person with autism. Suffering from autism. Stricken with autism. Afflicted with autism. High functioning. Low functioning. Severe autism. Profound autism. Socially impaired. Developmentally challenged. Retarded. Every single one of those words and phrases has been used to describe me or my friends. Friends with whom I have regular contact, who've shared their experiences with me, advised me, and been there for me when I needed support or clarity. Yet every one of them implies something other than the decent, kind and knowledgeable people whose friendship, empathy and insight has enriched my life. The hardest thing about hearing such unpleasant language is that sometimes it can come from other autistic people. How we describe ourselves is a personal choice. Nobody has the right to dictate to someone else what words they should use when talking about themselves. But in marginalised communities like ours, the consequences of our choices are magnified and far-reaching. Those words we personally prefer impact on how the people we interact with see others like us. The impressions our individual choices make on non-autistic people can and do become twisted into weapons that are deployed against other autists and our community as a whole. I'm not going to tell you that you must use the language I choose, nor chastise you for making different choices. I just want to explain the thoughts behind my choices, and you can choose to agree or disagree. I've previously made videos explaining the harm of functioning labels, on person-first language, and on why I choose not to refer to myself as having Asperger's syndrome or as an Aspie. So I won't retread old steps. I'll put links in the description and up here if you're interested though. My autistic mind has not been the direct cause of anything I could call suffering. That's not to say I haven't suffered because of being autistic, but only at the hands of other people who chose to be cruel, thoughtless, or just didn't care. I wasn't stricken with autism because I was born autistic, and I certainly don't feel like I'm afflicted. To consider myself to be any of those would imply that I'd want to be something other than autistic, and that couldn't be further from the truth. This skull of mine contains the accumulated experiences, knowledge, memories and emotions of over 50 years of autistic life. And I not only can't change it, I don't want to. Being autistic influences the way I perceive the world, how my emotions flow, and my views on everything from heavyweight topics like politics, religion and morality, through to everyday decisions like what I choose to eat, to read and watch on television. If I weren't autistic, I wouldn't be the same person, and I don't know if I'd be comfortable with who that person might be. I've seen what I could have become in the people I grew up with, and I see nothing that suggests their lives are any more fulfilling or rewarding than mine. They might think so, but that would be based on their own value systems. One thing I've learned as an autist is that the things valued most highly by the neuronormative don't necessarily mean as much to most autistic people, and vice versa. I'm not bothered by the same things that wind most people up, nor do I enjoy the same things in the same way. By my own standards, I'm happy with where my choices have led me. I like that I pick up on things other people miss. I take pleasure in my intense interests and passions. I owe my very survival to my unwavering pursuit of decency and honesty, and I'm proud to say I've never intentionally hurt another person, even those who've wronged me. None of this is because of rules written in legal statutes or holy scriptures. It's just who I am, and it's part of the package of me being autistic. So, when people use words to suggest that I'm unfortunate to be autistic, I correct them. My being autistic is not a problem to me, in any way, shape or form. It's just who I am. I was born this way, and I have the same instinct for survival as anyone else. In 1953, Alfred Bester won the first ever Hugo Award, one of the most prestigious awards in science fiction literature, for his novel, The Demolished Man. In an almost crime-free utopia in the future, the ultimate punishment for the most heinous of crimes was demolition. A process that wiped the mind of a criminal and imprinted a new personality and memories. It was seen by the people of the time as a more humane punishment and deterrent than execution or even imprisonment. Don't kill or confine your criminals, rewrite them. Empty them out and refill them with government-approved thoughts and feelings. The criminal would remain in perfect health and free to roam society, but reprogrammed as a docile, obedient servant of the state. The person who had committed the crime would be, to all intents and purposes, erased. But their body and identity still lived, thereby skirting the moral issues surrounding capital punishment. In many ways, though, that seems like a fate worse than death. Yet it's what I think of every time I hear someone say that we suffer from autism or that we have autism spectrum disorder or condition. Every time someone uses functional labels, insists that their Aspergers is distinct from other autism, or kicks us all under the bus by referring to severe autism. Every one of those bigots who love the child but hate the autism, and all their compatriots in the exploitative industry that has monetised autism for personal gain, seeks to demolish us. And when we use their language of deficit and linearity, we strengthen their hand. It's like handing our own murderers the bullets to shoot us down with. I'm not lesser for being who and what I am. For me to be disordered, there must be a comparator, a standard of perfect order by which I can be judged. And I'm sorry, neurotypical people of the world, but I'm no more messed up than any one of you. Your way of seeing the world is not superior or more ordered than mine just because it's more common. For the same reason, I don't see my alternative operating system as a medical condition. So if you wish to label me as ASD or ASC, I will correct you. I neither need nor want treatment or therapy that makes me more like you. I'm happy to work alongside you and build on the strengths of our different approaches to life so together we can make the world a better place. So please don't use language that implies I'm less of a human than you. If you were to fix my autism, you would demolish the person that I am. Not for murder or treason, but just for being born with a distinctive mind. It's usually at this point that someone will bring out the card they think trumps all others. But what about the severe autistics? What about those who can't look after themselves or suffer in silence? You don't speak for them. But they usually fall silent pretty quickly, because I don't argue with them. I don't speak for every autist, and have never claimed I do. There's a statement to that effect at the start of every Autismatic video. I speak only for myself, but mine is a view that's widely shared within the autistic community, including amongst many of those you might decide to call severe, or the latest nonsensical attempt to divide and conquer, profoundly autistic. I share my views with people who were identified as autistic when they were children, back in the 1940s up to the present day. It's shared with people who are diagnosed at every stage of adulthood. People who have successful careers, people who've never worked, or have been institutionalised or incarcerated most of their lives. You'll find it echoed by autists who were or are still labelled as low-functioning or severe. Those who have self-harmed absconded, have never used speech, or who have intellectual disabilities. It's shared with people who know that they're autistic, but through fear, external pressure, or the lack of either funds or opportunity, haven't sought diagnosis and may never do so whilst people still use language that implies we're broken or incomplete people. You see, if I decided to accept the designation of autism spectrum disorder, it would be a personal choice that only affected me, wouldn't it? As long as I wasn't telling other people like me that they had to make the same choice, it wouldn't be a problem, surely? Or would it? It's not as if we all live in a world where if you chose to ask someone not to call you disordered, they would argue with you, is it? Do people tell us off for calling ourselves autistic and insist we use person with autism because they think that autistic is offensive? Are billions being spent by terrorised parents and drained from government coffers to treat the epidemic of autism spectrum disorder? Do we see discredited conversion therapy, industrial bleach and other dangerous chemicals forced on autistic children to supposedly fix their autistic minds? Have there been outbreaks of historic diseases like measles because parents were scared to vaccinate their children in fear of them being struck down with autism? Do journalists and pub philosophers ever speculate that incompetent politicians, cruel bosses, serial killers and terrorists might be autistic or behave in an autistic way? Or kids in the playground use autistic as an insult? Do autistic people get routinely bullied and marginalised, treated like second-class citizens, leading to an astronomically high rate of mental illness and suicide? Do we have a higher rate of wrongful arrest and imprisonment than neurotypical people? Are we underemployed, underestimated and underrepresented, even on boards of charities and research projects that say they're to benefit us? If we lived in a world like that, then perhaps it might be wise for all of us to think about the language we use to describe our own autistic qualities. In that world, we might find our personal choices affecting others, being used to undermine and browbeat other autistic people who dare to stand up for themselves. People might think that if I accept that I'm disordered and incomplete, then you should too. They might treat you even worse, maybe, even as less valid than me because you don't accept the version of reality that I do. They might think that you need correction more than me. I don't want my choices to have the potential to harm others, so I choose my words carefully. Because I'm autistic. Because I care. Because I'm very, very human. Thank you for watching. If we lived in that horrible world I just described, then it would be really important for you to like, subscribe, comment and share this video to get that YouTube algorithm working to spread the word about the realities of autistic life. I might even have to ask people to sign up to Patreon to help me continue to make videos like this, or point out the exclusive merch designs on TeePublic that also help Autistic to survive. If I did, they'd all be linked in the description.